Welcome to our exploration of the fascinating world of pathogens. Pathogens are microscopic agents that can cause disease in humans, animals, and even plants. Understanding the classification of pathogens is crucial for grasping how diseases spread and how we can prevent or treat them. In this video, we'll break down the main types of pathogens, discuss their unique characteristics, and see how they impact our daily lives. Let's begin by defining what a pathogen is and why their classification matters in the field of medicine and public health. This foundation will help us appreciate the complexity and diversity of these tiny yet powerful organisms. Pathogens are organisms or agents that cause disease in their hosts. They come in many forms, including bacteria, viruses, fungi, and parasites. Each type of pathogen has its own way of infecting and affecting the body. Some are single-celled, while others are much more complex. By classifying pathogens, scientists and healthcare professionals can better understand how diseases develop and spread. This knowledge is essential for developing effective treatments, vaccines, and prevention strategy. Now let's dive into the main categories of pathogens, starting with bacteria, one of the most well-known groups. Bacteria are single-celled microorganisms that can be found almost everywhere on Earth. While many bacteria are harmless or even beneficial, some can cause serious diseases. Bacterial pathogens are responsible for illnesses like strep throat, tuberculosis, and urinary tract infections. They reproduce quickly and can adapt to various environments, making them both fascinating and challenging to control. Understanding how bacteria function and spread is key to preventing bacterial infections. Next, we'll look at viruses, another major group of pathogens with their own unique characteristics. Viruses are much smaller than bacteria and cannot survive or reproduce without a host. They invade living cells and use the cell's machinery to multiply, often destroying the host cell in the process. Viral infections include the common cold, influenza, and more serious diseases like HIV/AIDS and COVID-19. Because viruses are not technically alive outside a host, they are unique among pathogens. Their ability to mutate rapidly makes them particularly challenging to treat and control. Let's move on to fungi, another important class of pathogens. Fungi are a diverse group of organisms that include yeasts, molds, and mushrooms. While many fungi are harmless or even helpful, some can cause diseases in humans, especially in those with weakened immune systems. Fungal infections can affect the skin, nails, lungs, and other organs. Examples include athlete's foot, ringworm, and histoplasmosis. Fungi reproduce by releasing spores, which can be inhaled or come into contact with the skin. Now let's explore parasites, the last major group of pathogens we'll cover today. Parasites are organisms that live on or inside another organism, known as the host, and benefit at the host's expense. They can be single-celled like protozoa or multicellular like worms. Parasitic infections can range from mild to life-threatening and are often transmitted through contaminated food, water, or insect bites. Common examples include malaria caused by protozoa and tapeworm infections. Parasites have complex life cycles and can be difficult to eliminate. Understanding their biology helps in developing effective treatments and prevention strategies. Prions are a rare and unusual type of pathogen. Unlike bacteria, viruses, fungi, or parasites, prions are misfolded proteins that can cause other proteins in the brain to misfold as well. This leads to serious and often fatal diseases such as Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease and mad cow disease. Prions are unique because they contain no genetic material and are incredibly resistant to standard methods of sterilization. Their discovery challenged our understanding of infectious agents and highlighted the complexity of disease transmission. Now that we've introduced the main types of pathogens, bacteria, viruses, fungi, parasites, and prions, let's compare their characteristics. Bacteria and fungi are living organisms, while viruses and prions are not considered alive in the traditional sense. Parasites can be single-celled or multicellular. Each type has its own method of reproduction, transmission, and impact on the host. Understanding these differences is essential for diagnosing diseases and choosing the right treatment. Next, we'll look at how pathogens are transmitted from one host to another. Pathogens can be transmitted in a variety of ways depending on their type. Some spread through direct contact, such as touching or kissing, while others are airborne or transmitted through contaminated food and water. Insects like mosquitoes can also act as vectors, carrying pathogens from one host to another. Understanding transmission routes is key to controlling outbreaks and preventing the spread of disease. In the next scenes, we'll explore each transmission method in more detail, starting with direct contact. Direct contact transmission occurs when pathogens are spread through physical contact between individuals. This can happen through touching, hugging, kissing, or sexual contact. Some pathogens, like certain bacteria and viruses, are especially adept at spreading this way. Good hygiene practices such as regular hand washing and avoiding close contact with sick individuals are effective ways to reduce the risk of direct contact transmission. Next, let's look at indirect contact transmission and how objects can play a role in spreading pathogens. Direct contact transmission involves the transfer of pathogens via contaminated objects or surfaces, known as fomites. Common examples include doorknobs, phones, or shared utensils. Pathogens can survive on these surfaces for varying lengths of time depending on their type. Regular cleaning and disinfecting of frequently touched objects can help prevent the spread of disease. Now let's move on to airborne transmission, which involves pathogens traveling through the air. Airborne transmission occurs when pathogens are carried through the air in droplets or dust particles. Diseases like influenza, tuberculosis, and COVID-19 can spread this way, especially in crowded or poorly ventilated spaces. Wearing masks, improving ventilation, and maintaining physical distance are effective strategies to reduce airborne transmission. Next, we'll discuss how contaminated food and water can serve as vehicles for pathogen transmission. Pathogens can also be transmitted through contaminated food and water. Bacteria like Salmonella and E. coli, as well as certain parasites and viruses, are common culprits. Proper food handling, cooking, and water treatment are essential for preventing these types of infections. Outbreaks can occur when food or water sources are contaminated, affecting large numbers of people. Next, let's look at vector-borne transmission, where insects play a key role. Vector-borne transmission involves insects or animals that carry pathogens from one host to another. Mosquitoes, ticks, and fleas are common vectors. Diseases like malaria, Lyme disease, and plague are spread this way. Controlling vector populations and using protective measures such as insect repellent and bed nets are important for reducing the risk of vector-borne diseases. Now let's shift our focus to how the body defends itself against these various pathogens. Human body has a sophisticated immune system designed to detect and destroy pathogens. It uses a variety of defenses, including physical barriers like skin, chemical barriers like stomach acid, and specialized cells that identify and attack invaders. The immune system can remember previous encounters with pathogens, allowing for a faster response if the same pathogen is encountered again. Vaccines take advantage of this memory to provide protection. Next, we'll discuss how pathogens can evade the immune system. Pathogens have evolved various strategies to evade the immune system. Some bacteria produce capsules that prevent immune cells from recognizing them. Viruses can mutate rapidly, changing their surface proteins to avoid detection. Parasites may hide within host cells or change their appearance. These evasion tactics make it challenging to treat certain infections and highlight the ongoing arms race between pathogens and the immune system. Next, let's look at how scientists classify pathogens in more detail. Pathogens are classified based on several criteria, including their structure, genetic material, mode of reproduction, and the diseases they cause. For example, bacteria are classified by shape and staining properties, while viruses are grouped by their genetic material, DNA or RNA. Fungi and parasites have their own classification systems based on their life cycles and morphology. Accurate classification helps in diagnosing infections and choosing the right treatment. Next, we'll explore bacterial classification in more detail. Bacteria can be classified by their shape, such as cocci spherical, bacilli rod-shaped, and spirilla spiral-shaped. They are also grouped by their reaction to the Gram stain, which divides them into gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria. These characteristics help doctors identify the type of bacteria causing an infection and select the most effective antibiotics. Next, let's look at how viruses are classified. Viruses are classified based on their genetic material, either DNA or RNA, and whether that material is single-stranded or double-stranded. They are also grouped by their shape and the presence or absence of an outer envelope. These features influence how viruses infect cells and how the immune system responds. Understanding viral classification is essential for developing vaccines and antiviral drugs. Next, we'll examine how fungi are classified. Fungi are classified based on their structure and reproductive methods. Major groups include yeasts, molds, and dimorphic fungi, which can switch between yeast and mold forms. Fungal classification helps in identifying the source of infections and choosing the right antifungal treatment. Some fungi are opportunistic, causing disease mainly in people with weakened immune systems. Next, let's look at how parasites are classified. Parasites are classified into protozoa, helminth worms, and ectoparasites like lice and mites. Protozoa are single-celled while helminths are multicellular. Ectoparasites live on the surface of the host. Each group has unique life cycles and modes of transmission. Accurate classification is vital for diagnosis and treatment, as different parasites require different medications. Now, let's discuss the importance of pathogen classification in public health. Classifying pathogens is essential for tracking disease outbreaks, developing vaccines, and implementing control measures. Public health officials rely on accurate classification to identify sources of infection and prevent further spread. This process also helps in monitoring antibiotic resistance and emerging diseases. Next, we'll look at some examples of diseases caused by each type of pathogen. Bacterial pathogens are responsible for a wide range of diseases. Some common examples include strep throat caused by Streptococcus bacteria, tuberculosis caused by Mycobacterium tuberculosis, and urinary tract infections often caused by Escherichia coli. These diseases vary in severity and require different antibiotics for treatment. Next, we'll see examples of viral diseases. Viruses cause many well-known diseases, from the common cold and influenza to more serious illnesses like HIV/AIDS, hepatitis, and COVID-19. Each virus targets specific cells in the body and can spread rapidly through populations. Vaccines and antiviral drugs are key tools in controlling viral diseases. Next, let's look at examples of fungal infections. Fungal pathogens can cause infections like athlete's foot, ringworm, and more serious conditions such as histoplasmosis and aspergillosis. These infections often affect the skin, nails, or lungs. People with weakened immune systems are at higher risk for severe fungal diseases. Antifungal medications are used to treat these infections. Now let's see some examples of parasitic diseases. Parasitic diseases include malaria caused by Plasmodium protozoa, tapeworm infections caused by helminths, and lice infestations caused by ectoparasites. These diseases can be transmitted through insect bites, contaminated food or water, or direct contact. Treatment depends on the type of parasite involved. Next, let's discuss prion diseases. Prion diseases are rare but devastating. Examples include Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease in humans and mad cow disease in cattle. These diseases affect the brain and nervous system, leading to rapid deterioration and ultimately death. There are currently no cures for prion diseases, making prevention and early detection critical. Next, let's look at how new pathogens emerge. New pathogens can emerge due to changes in the environment, human behavior, or genetic mutations. Examples include the emergence of HIV in the 20th century and the recent COVID-19 pandemic. global travel and urbanization can facilitate the spread of new diseases. Monitoring and rapid response are essential to prevent widespread outbreaks. Next, we'll discuss the role of laboratories in identifying and classifying pathogens. Laboratories play a crucial role in identifying and classifying pathogens. Techniques include culturing bacteria, using PCR to detect viral genetic material, and microscopic examination for parasites and fungi. Accurate identification guides treatment and helps track outbreaks. Advances in technology such as genome sequencing have revolutionized pathogen identification. Next, let's look at the importance of surveillance systems. Surveillance systems monitor the spread of infectious diseases and help detect outbreaks early. These systems collect data from hospitals, laboratories, and public health agencies. Early detection allows for rapid response and containment of diseases. Surveillance is especially important for tracking antibiotic resistance and emerging pathogens. Next, we'll discuss the role of vaccines in controlling pathogens. Vaccines are one of the most effective tools for preventing infectious diseases. They work by training the immune system to recognize and fight specific pathogens. Vaccines have led to the eradication or control of diseases like smallpox, polio, and measles. Ongoing research aims to develop vaccines for more pathogens, including emerging viruses. Next, let's look at the role of antibiotics and antiviral drugs. Antibiotics are used to treat bacterial infections, while antiviral drugs target viruses. It's important to use these medications appropriately to prevent resistance. Overuse or misuse of antibiotics can lead to the development of resistant bacteria, making infections harder to treat. Antiviral drugs are designed to interfere with the virus's ability to replicate. Next, we'll discuss antifungal and antiparasitic treatment. Antifungal drugs are used to treat infections caused by fungi, while antiparasitic drugs target parasites. Each class of drug works differently depending on the type of pathogen. Accurate diagnosis is essential for choosing the right medication. Resistance can also develop in fungi and parasites, making ongoing research and new drug development important. Next, let's look at the importance of hygiene and sanitation. Good hygiene and sanitation practices are fundamental for preventing the spread of pathogens. Regular hand washing, safe food handling, clean water, and proper waste disposal all reduce the risk of infection. Public health campaigns often focus on these measures to control outbreaks. Next, we'll discuss the role of education in preventing infectious diseases. Educating the public about how pathogens spread and how to prevent infection is a key part of disease control. Awareness campaigns can encourage vaccination, promote hygiene, and dispel myths about infectious diseases. Informed communities are better equipped to respond to outbreaks and protect themselves. Next, let's look at the global impact of pathogens. Pathogens have a significant impact on global health, economies, and societies. Infectious diseases can cause widespread illness, disrupt economies, and strain healthcare systems. International cooperation is essential for monitoring and controlling the spread of pathogens. Organizations like the World Health Organization play a key role in coordinating responses to global health threats. Next, let's discuss the future of pathogen research. Advances in technology are transforming pathogen research. Genome sequencing, artificial intelligence, and improved diagnostic tools are helping scientists identify and track pathogens more quickly. Ongoing research aims to develop new treatments, vaccines, and prevention strategies. Collaboration between scientists, governments, and the public is essential for staying ahead of emerging threats. Next, let's review the key points from this video. Summarize: pathogens are classified into several main types: bacteria, viruses, fungi, parasites, and prions. Each type has unique characteristics, modes of transmission, and impacts on health. Understanding these differences is essential for diagnosis, treatment, and prevention. The classification of pathogens underpins much of modern medicine and public health. Next, let's highlight the importance of continued vigilance against infectious diseases. Staying vigilant against infectious diseases is crucial for protecting public health. This means monitoring for new pathogens, maintaining good hygiene, and supporting vaccination programs. Everyone has a role to play, from individuals to governments and international organizations. By working together, we can reduce the impact of pathogens and prevent future outbreaks. Next, let's look at some common misconceptions about pathogens. There are many misconceptions about pathogens and infectious diseases. For example, not all bacteria are harmful, many are beneficial. Antibiotics do not work against viruses, and vaccines are safe and effective. Dispelling these myths is important for public health. Accurate information helps people make informed decisions and reduces fear and stigma. Next, let's discuss the role of personal responsibility in disease prevention. Each of us can take steps to prevent the spread of pathogens. This includes practicing good hygiene, staying up to date with vaccinations, and seeking medical advice when sick. By being proactive, we protect not only ourselves but also our communities. Personal responsibility is a cornerstone of public health. Next, let's look at the importance of global cooperation in fighting infectious diseases. Global cooperation is essential for controlling the spread of infectious diseases. Sharing information, resources, and expertise helps countries respond more effectively to outbreaks. International organizations coordinate efforts and provide support where needed. Working together, we can build stronger defenses against pathogens and protect global health. Next, let's discuss the ongoing challenges in pathogen control. Despite advances in medicine and technology, controlling pathogens remains a challenge. Antibiotic resistance, emerging diseases, and global travel all contribute to the complexity of disease control. Continued research, surveillance, and public education are needed to address these challenges. By staying informed and proactive, we can adapt to new threats as they arise. Next, let's look at the role of innovation in pathogen control. Innovation is driving new approaches to pathogen control. From rapid diagnostic tests to advanced vaccines and gene editing, technology is helping us stay ahead of infectious diseases. Collaboration between scientists, healthcare providers, and policymakers is essential for turning new ideas into effective solutions. The future holds promise for even more breakthroughs in the fight against pathogens. Finally, let's wrap up with a summary of what we've learned. Conclusion: understanding the classification of pathogens is fundamental to public health and medicine. By recognizing the different types of pathogens and how they spread, we can better prevent, diagnose, and treat infectious diseases. Ongoing research, education, and global cooperation are essential for staying ahead of new threats. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the world of pathogens. Stay informed, stay healthy, and remember, the fight against infectious diseases is a shared responsibility.